Greetings and welcome. To begin, I'd like to acknowledge that the CSU Monterey Bay campus is on the unceded territory of the Rumsen Ohlone people. My name is Professor Umi Vaughn. I'm the director of the Center for Black Student Success at CSUMB. The center is all about engaging and empowering African diaspora students by providing academic, professional, and personal support, as well as cultural enrichment programming. The center is the hub and home for Black student life on our campus, working with local community members and other university offices to make sure that Black students succeed at CSUMB. This presentation is the first offering from the Black Money Matters Financial Literacy Series. Events in this series teach students about how money and wealth work, covering a range of topics including budgeting and money management, savings, investing, entrepreneurship, and more. We understand that the history of slavery, lack of access to education, unfair banking practices, etc., have made it challenging for Black folks in this country to participate fully in American economic prosperity. Recently, TV programs like The Watchmen or Lovecraft Country have reminded the nation about things like the massacre at Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921, which was largely a move to thwart Black economic progress and destroy competition. So this series is about laying the groundwork for Black people to take a rightful position in the national economy. One of our great heroes, Martin Luther King Jr., described the situation well. So let's hear from him before we bring out our guest for this evening.
What is it about the Negro? Every other group that came as an immigrant somehow, not easily, but somehow got around it. Is it just the fact that Negroes are Black?
White America must see that no other ethnic group has been a slave on American soil. That is one thing that other immigrant groups haven't had to face. The other thing is that the color became a stigma. American society made the Negro's color a stigma. America freed the slaves in 1863 through the Emancipation Proclamation of Abraham Lincoln, but gave the slaves no land or nothing in reality, and as a matter of fact, to get started on. At the same time, America was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that there was a willingness to give the white peasants from Europe an economic base. And yet it refused to give its Black peasants from Africa, who came here involuntarily in chains and had worked free for 244 years, any kind of economic base. And so emancipation for the Negro was really freedom to hunger. It was freedom to the winds and rains of heaven. It was freedom without food to eat or land to cultivate, and therefore it was freedom and famine at the same time. And when white Americans tell the Negro to lift himself by his own bootstraps, they don't look over the legacy of slavery and segregation. I believe we ought to do all we can and seek to lift ourselves by our own bootstraps, but it's a cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And many Negroes, by the thousands and millions, have been left bootless as a result of all of these years of oppression and as a result of a society that deliberately made his color a stigma and something worthless and degrading.
So with that as our background, we know that our series and tonight's presentation is about addressing and changing the legacy of Black economics in this country. And so without further ado, I'm very excited about our kickoff guests, financial planners, Mecca and Kwesi Dreams. Welcome you all.
Wow. Thank you, Umi. Thank you. We're so excited to be here, y'all.
Yes.
Oh, man.
That video, I'm like stuck in my seat. That was freaking amazing. That we've been dealing with the same problems for 4,000 years.
Generationally.
I'm so glad we are here to make change and not just unearth the problems, but create solutions so
Yes.
those problems never take root again.
Yes.
So thank you all for being here. But where do you want to start?
Yeah.
We just hop into
We'll just hop into it. So we want to introduce
Okay.
ourselves. My name is Mecca. Like Mr. Umi said, this is my husband, Kwesi. We actually just got married last week, y'all. Last week. We're so excited about it. Because actually getting married is another one of those generational barriers that both of us had to break. Not only is it economic, sometimes it's spiritual and it's mental. So we're going to be addressing a lot of that tonight. And as you can tell, we are a young Black couple. And literally, no one expects us to win. No one expects us to get married, especially not this young. So we're going to be teaching you guys a lot of what we've learned on our journey. Just know that we are not perfect. We are just like y'all. We started just like y'all. So we appreciate you showing up and showing out tonight, and we hope to bring you some value.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And really quick, I would like to take a moment just to introduce ourselves really briefly.
Yes.
I know we have some amazing material to go over, but I want to make sure that as interesting of a conversation as money can be, it should also be it can be a pleasant conversation, right? It can be a happy conversation.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be draining. It doesn't have to be sorrowful. It doesn't have to be sad. It can actually be a very uplifting, empowering conversation as long as we know what we're conversing about. Look at that. They got Mecca all up under me. My name is Kwesi, by the way. Can't cause any confusion. But
This
my
is
name is
not
Kwesi.
Zoom no more, y'all.
Yes. So good to see y'all. So Kwesi is actually not my birth name. Kwesi is a name. Oh, Jocelyn. We actually went to school together.
Hey, girl.
At UC Santa Barbara. Fired up. But anyway, everything comes full circle. But my name is Kwesi, and that's actually a name that I adopted in Ghana. And I usually, every time I'm on an appointment with a new client, helping a new family, I always ask them, do you know where Ghana is?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm going to give y'all 5 seconds. If you want to post in the group chat, where is Ghana?
Ooh.
Where is Ghana? And you
Who
get
knows?
a special surprise.
Who knows?
Whoever gets it right first. I see.
Oh,
man. Okay, so maybe after this, we need to do a world.
Umi, what's
literacy
going
class.
on? Nobody knows where Ghana is?
She said, hi. Okay, so
That's all right.
I'm going
Give
to
it
ruin
to
the
him.
surprise. Ghana is in West Africa. Now, oh, there we go. Antoinette. She
Antoinette
knows.
Paul. There you
Antoinette
go,
Paul.
girl.
So, yes, Ghana is in West Africa. And it is
Yes.
an absolutely beautiful place to go. I am a so-called Negro or Black American. So I didn't even know that my ancestors were from Africa outside of the history books until I actually traveled to Ghana. And I saw a lot of people there who looked like me, who looked like some of the people on this call, who looked like my cousins down in Texas. I was like, oh my goodness, this is our freaking family. Right. So for me, it sparked a change, an evolution, a transformation in my life. And that's part of what brought me into this industry. Because if anybody here has roots in Africa, like a direct connection, like family there, or anybody here has been to the South and experienced Southern hospitality, we as so-called African Negro people, whatever they're calling us this century, we are very giving people just naturally, right? And that's something I saw and experienced when I traveled to West Africa. And another thing I experienced there is that I have to share. I have an obligation to share. Meanwhile, being here in America, where I was born and raised, capitalism doesn't leave much room for sharing.
Right.
As a matter of fact, a lot of capitalism, which we'll talk about a little bit during this call, a lot of capitalism is built on taking power from people as opposed to giving them power, right? Which is why our nation exists in the current state that it does. But besides the point, right? I've always been somebody who's looking for solutions, right? And my beautiful wife here, she created so many solutions in my personal life. And I'm looking forward to sharing some solution with you all about how to improve your personal, your spiritual, your mental, and especially your financial life. So that being said, I'll tell you more of my story later. But
let's start the slideshow.
Oh,
all right, so
where you from?
we're gonna get into that. We got a whole intro slide. You're jumping the gun. No, I'm just kidding. So this is for you guys. If you guys want to follow us on social media, you want to learn more about what we do, you want to see how we help clients, etc., you can follow Kwesi at Kwesi.dreams on IG and me, Mecca.dreams on IG. We post a lot of informational tips and tricks about personal finance, retirement, just networking with other Black people in finance. There's actually a lot of us out there. We're more than we thought. Not really a lot, but I'll say more than we originally thought. So we are into sharing content, sharing experiences, and value with people from all walks of life. So holler at us on IG if you like what we're going to say today. So we can go to the next slide.
Amen.
Ooh, so our story. So I really want to start on this slide to just, again, remind you guys, we might be in finance now, we might be getting to a place of stability now in our personal lives, but we literally started just like y'all. This was us in college. So that's Kwesi on the inside. You, Santa Barbara. So it's this was before we even knew each other, but God knew that we were going to cross paths, and we did. Funny story, we actually both went to high school in the same city, a little small town called Palmdale, California. Write in the chat if you know where that is. Most people don't. It's like a little suburb right outside LA, about an hour away. We didn't actually meet till we got here to the Bay Area. So I've been in Oakland since 2012. I actually started in Hayward. Now I'm here in Oakland. We're here together. But we never thought we'd cross paths. It's kind of like a story of Love Jones. He was a poet. I was a photographer. We met at a photo shoot, and boom, instantaneously we connected, but it didn't quite fit until we both removed a lot of blockages from our life. So some emotional, some physical, and some financial. Right. And so when we came together, we realized that we had a greater mission on this earth. It wasn't just about us. It was about what kind of transformation can we make in our community, right? What kind of visions can we put together to impact something larger than us, something that will stay around even when we're not around. OK, so that was me in college. But did I always have that mindset? No, my money story in college was, pretty typical, I would say. So in high school, I had pretty good grades. So I had grants for my first 3 years of college. And then year 4, ish got real. I don't know if I can use profanity on here, but ish got real. I got my first experience with loans, with debt, with credit cards. That was around year 3 or 4 when I really set forth on my entrepreneurial journey and decided that I didn't really want to work for anyone else. I had tried it, did internships, the whole 9, but realized I want to be in control of my own schedule. I want to be my own boss. So I learned how to pick up side hustles. I learned how to use what I was learning in school to monetize it. So we'll be talking a little bit about that today as well. But long story short, I did not have the financial backing that I thought I did, because when I exited college, I realized wow, things are super real. I have all this debt. It's piling up. Yes, you get a deferment period, but I had to really go into research mode. Okay, what is this thing called student loans? How do I pay them back? How much am I required to pay them back? Because look, I'm still not super stable in my life. So around 22, 23, I was just really figuring it out. And it took a lot of trial and error. So really a big goal of ours today is so you guys don't have to really enter a lot of the pitfalls that we did when we were exiting college, and how to set yourself up for success now. If you're out of college, in college, or if you're a full-blown adult and you're already working in the workforce, you're 40, 50 years old trying to get it together maybe for retirement. We're going to talk about that too, because there's a lot of things that we just aren't taught in schools. No one taught us personal finance. No one taught us about how to, budget for retirement or things like that. So me in that picture was completely lost. I was probably at a bar at that point, buying a Modelo on my credit card at that exact moment. That's how most college students live. But thank God that I exited that and we're here now. So that's me in college.
Absolutely, man. That was incredible. That was incredible. But really quick, I want to play a game, because this is not going to be your mama's college lecture.
Nah.
This is going to be an interactive conversation. I know y'all are fired up about that interactive conversation. So I would like to know who we are talking to.
Ooh.
Right. So here's what we're going to start with. If you have any questions, because we want to make this a conversation, not a presentation, even though we're going to share some powerful information with you. We want to know who we're talking to. So if at any point in time you have any questions, try and keep it in line with the conversation, but still, if you have any questions, even about college and how to make it through with your sanity, please post it in the group chat so we can speak to the people. But that being said, I shared a little bit of my story. Okay, we hopping into it?
Yeah, we're hopping into it.
All right, let's make it happen. So breaking barriers. You want to talk about this?
No, go for it, babe.
Okay, I'm gonna get into it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get into it. So when I was in college, right? That was my introduction to what I like to call a revolutionary Black life, or at least the closest thing to it that we've seen, in the most recent years. This was right before Trayvon Martin was murdered, right? And that was in 2012, around 2012, right? So I went to college in 2009, and it really got intense around my senior year, right? And still at that time, even though I was going to all the meetings, I was going to all the protests, I was on YouTube and Facebook. That's when Facebook was still popping for the college students. I was going to Facebook, just trying to see what's going on and where do I need to be. But I noticed in all these circles, there was one really important aspect that was missing. One really, really important aspect. And what do y'all think that was? What do you think it was? I want you to post in the group chat. What do you think was missing from the revolutionary conversation? And keep in mind, I didn't just go to the Black spaces. I didn't even just go to the African spaces. I went to the Latino spaces. I went to the white ally spaces. I went to the LGBTQ spaces. And what is the one aspect that y'all think was missing? This chat must be on delay.
It's different.
It must be on delay.
It's not Zoom.
It's not Zoom. It's not, but it's fine.
Well, we love this.
I
It's
love
so
what's happening here. We still live. So the aspect that was missing from all these revolutionary conversations is around economic empowerment. And still, it's been almost 10 years, a decade since then. And it was amazing seeing that Martin Luther King video where he's literally talking to you about what we're going to talk to you about today. And it's like, what in the world is happening? Right? How does the chain keep getting broken? But here are the facts. Let's talk about them. Okay. At the end of the day, your financial situation is what determines your life, right? At least materially speaking. I'm not talking about spiritually, right? If you're scared, go to church. That's fine, whatever. And thank you, Tatiana, right? It's money. Finances. If you're scared, go to church. That'll heal your spiritual self. If you out of shape, go to the gym. That'll heal your physical self. But still, what is going to heal your financial self? What's going to help you prepare for an emergency like COVID?
Wow.
When 60 million people, including my father, have been laid off. What is going to heal that aspect of your life? How do you put your children in a position where they're not going to have to take out $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 of student loans? So when they graduate college, they're already indebted to the government, right? Why are we not having these conversations more often? And at the end of the day, it comes back to wealth. Right? Can we bring the slide? I don't know why the slide keeps disappearing. I don't know where it's at. But that slide is talking about the median household wealth amongst different so-called races. There's only one race, the human race. We'll talk about that another time. But these different so-called races in the United States of America. So you can see the Latinx folks, 46,000. Some of y'all got more student loan debt.
Median household wealth.
The Latinx has got median household wealth, scary hours, okay? 76,000. And then look at this jump. Look at this jump. Huge. 5 times more the white folks. And then you got Chinese, Asian. I didn't even know Asian Indians what. Isn't that crazy? Somebody came here, thought they were in India, and they said all these people was Indians. 400 years later, they still Indians. Right? And then you have the Japanese, right? But look at this disparity. When we talk about disparities, when we talk about equity, when we talk about economic empowerment, I want this to be the first thing that comes to your mind. And I want you to ask yourself, where are you now and where do you want to be? And what are you willing to do to get there? Because I can promise you, if you don't do something different than your parents and your grandparents did, you will end up in the same or even a potentially worse position than they were in, because at least they had Social Security. That's another conversation. Right.
And I will say, I just read an article that says the millennial and I think Gen X generation is the first generation that is probably not going to end up better off than their parents if we don't get a hold on this education. So really, when we look at this graph, we're looking at how much we're talking about money in the Black and the Latinx community versus how much they're actually educating and talking about money in the white, Chinese, Japanese, and Asian and Indian communities. So that's why we're literally here, because we want to make this regular old table conversations, right? Instead of talking about, hey, what did Rihanna do on Instagram yesterday? Or did you see the basketball game last night? Or any of that stuff. I want us to start talking about, hey, what are you investing in? Hey, how's your portfolio doing? Hey, have you been saving for that goal of moving across the country? Like, let's make that regular conversation, because that's the only way that we're going to break a lot of these generational curses. Next slide.
Yes. And I see Jeanette ask an amazing question. We're going to circle back to that. Can we bring Jeanette's question up on the main screen?
We're actually going to talk about that towards the end.
Yeah, no, I just want the people to see.
Oh, yeah. Don't miss the question, y'all. Jeanette Perez,
Yes. Y'all, oh, we're on YouTube. Oh, nice.
But anyway, so we're going to go and dive into what writing your money story is about. Okay. So this is really important because we all have a money story. We just might not be cognizant of it yet. But little do you know, it's affecting every financial decision that you're making right now. Think about it. From what you're studying in school, usually people go after either what they're passionate about or what they think is going to set them up for success later down the line. Whether you're in a job because, again, you love it and you love what you do, or because you're like, hey, I need something to pay the bills, and I just happen to be doing it for years. It dictates what neighborhoods you live in, what foods you're able to eat, everything. So what is your money story, right? So when I was growing up, money was a thing that we didn't necessarily talk about with people outside of our household, right? If the topic of money came up, it was either because we didn't have enough of it or somebody was spending too much of it, right? So naturally, as an adult, that taught me that money should be something that you shouldn't really share with everyone. No one should know your business. No one should know how much you make at your job or how much you're bringing in every month, because someone could try to steal it from you. And it was like really hush hush. And that actually psychologically will keep you in a shell, because if you're not asking questions, how are you moving forward? How are you growing? So I want all of you to sit and think for a second about 3 words that describes your feelings about money growing up. And I actually want you to drop them in the chat. Be vulnerable, be transparent, because that's the only way you're going to shed some of the things that you might be holding on to from your parents, because they made their choices, right? They got dealt the hand that they got dealt. They made the most out of it. But now everyone on this call, whether you are older and seasoned or you are young and you don't know about none of this stuff, you have a chance to pick up that baton and do something different with it. And if you had a great childhood around money, that's awesome too. But what are you going to do to make it your own, to make it unique? So 3 words in the chat that describe how you felt about money when you were growing up. Okay. And then the next one is, how do you feel about money now? Considering where you came from in life, whether that's the family you came from, the neighborhood you grew up in, the school you did or did not go to, right? Where are you now though? Currently, do you see any similarities? Do you see it being complete opposite? I have some clients who grew up with family who was first generation and they spent money like it was water. So that client that I have now, they decided that they wanted to be super strict on their finances. They don't have fun anytime because they don't want to spend no money, right? And so it's a little bit different. They decided to do the opposite of their parents. But even that, you need to give yourself grace. You can have luxuries every now and again. You can experience life. Just because you might have a budget or a system or anything in place doesn't mean that you can't live, right? So how do you feel about money now? Drop it in the chat, 3 words. And now, how do you feel about money, or how would you like to feel about money in your future, right? So where are you coming from? Where are you at now? And where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? We have Judah Young said, growing up, it was confidential and scattered. That's so real. Jocelyn, scared, lacking, jealous, never enough, unattainable, limited. These are super real, strong emotions, y'all. And obviously not ones that are going to really attract money to us. So what do we got to do? What do we got to do to attract it to us? We got to get really clear on what it is that we want. Because y'all, guess what? Money's just an energy. It's just an energy. Think about it. It's this green piece of paper, or it's numbers in our cell phones, right? But even before it gets there, it's an energy. You ever realize when you're talking about a person or thinking about them, all of a sudden they're going to call you, they're going to text you, and you're like, dang, how'd that happen? It's the same with money. When you see yourself abundantly, when you see life worth being lived, when you see yourself open and ready to receive the coin, the bag, you will get it. And sometimes, like I read this meme on Instagram. It's like, don't complain or don't ask God for a cake, but when he gives you eggs, butter, milk, oil, and water or whatever, you complain. That's sometimes how money will come to us, energetically. So think about those words, where you come from, where you are now, where you want to be. Get clear, write it down in a journal, look at it every night. And when you look at where you came from and you look at where you want to be, right, realize that every single thing that you do during the day is going to lead you there. So what seeds are you planting now? You're here, you showed up, that's awesome. But are you really listening? Are you tuned in? I hope so, because this can be life-changing if you apply it, okay? Now let's get to some goals, right? So we can't have a vision and a plan without goals. You gotta have a goal. So how do you make money goals? You write them down, you make them specific, and you make them measurable, right? A lot of ones that I see today are, hey, paying down debt, okay? Saving for retirement, which we'll talk about. Saving for a rainy day fund, getting a budget, which we'll talk about, right? So always have a goal. 3 to 5 per quarter is strong, especially you should always have a short term, a medium term, and a long term, okay? And how to create a wealth mindset. Wealth, here's the acronym. W, write down what you want. E, use your mind. It is the strongest power that you have is your mind, okay? A, affirm your desire. L, listen to your inner voice. T, take action and transform. H, hold the vision. Hold the vision. You want to say anything on that?
No, that was good.
Okay, boom.
Really good.
Next slide.
But also, if nothing else, just be intentional about this conversation. Like, honestly, because we're privileged and blessed enough to have conversations like this every day with families like the ones that we came from, you know, families that knew nothing about money, had zero financial literacy, didn't know the difference between an IRA and a Roth IRA, right? Which is most of us. But being in this industry, learning this information, that's basic stuff, right? That's really basic stuff. So we're going to share some of the basics with you today. All that we ask, I mean, this is, first and foremost, this is completely free of charge, right? But if you go to the traditional industry, like the Charles Schwab, the Merrill Lynch, the Morgan Stanley, the Edward Jones, right? You might have heard of them, but have they heard of you, right? Have they ever reached out to you and your family and came and sat down and shared this information? If you're anything like me, then probably not. So I really encourage you, take this conversation seriously. And thank you to those that are. But
awesome.
That being said, so I imagine a lot of you or some of you are going to be graduating college soon. I imagine, right? I hope you went there with a graduation mentality, to say the absolute least. But what happens after college, right? If you're anything like me, I took out student loans as fast as I could, as much as I could. What's an interest rate?
Give me them checks.
I don't care. I don't got to pay this for 10 years.
Terrible.
And I learned, you know, I learned the hard way, but fortunately, it's not too late to clean up those mistakes. I want to help you all not have to make those mistakes to begin with. At the same time, if you're anything like me, I wouldn't have gotten through school without student loans, right? So I'm grateful in that aspect, but at the same time, there are other ways. So in terms of paying back your student loans, it really depends. What kind of program are you on, right? Are you in a deferment program? Are you in a pay-as-you-go program? Are you in a pay-as-you-earn program? I encourage you to do some research. We don't specialize in student loans specifically, but we do specialize in being post-college graduates. And we can tell you from experience that there are ways to feasibly pay down your student loans.
There's so many.
And there are some ways where you can pay for 20 years and no matter how much left after that point, they'll erase the rest of the debt. I believe that's the plan that I'm on. And I plan to pay it off before then. But if you can't, there are options like that that are out there. Just do some research. Even go to your financial aid office. They might have some resources for you. And I will say that also when it comes to student loans, I know some people might be like, hey, should I do like a Teach for America or a Peace Corps or become a teacher for a couple of years to get some type of a repayment for that? I would highly consider looking into programs like that, because not only can you get paid, but there's forgiveness in that, right? But only if your heart's in it, only if you can truly live with yourself, if you make a decision and go into contract for that, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, etc. I know that worked for an uncle of mine who went to college, and then he went off to a program like that, and he,
feels like his life would not have been the same if he hadn't have done that. So it's definitely not a one size fit all thing. But like Kwesi was saying, there is programs out there. Once you do exit college, there's things like income-based repayment, where in my situation, when I graduated college, I worked a full-time job in corporate for literally 3 months and I couldn't stand it. So I quit and I became an entrepreneur. So during that time, I was shifting a lot and my income wasn't super steady. So that income-based repayment literally had me paying $0.00 for like 3 years. And it came in handy. So I would highly suggest, first off, using that 6-month window that you have to not have to pay back anything. And then if income-based repayment fits in, because you can just do kind of like a quote situation. They can quote you at how much you can pay. And if that doesn't work, try something else, right? The name of the game is trying things when you're young, because not every situation or thing that you do and it doesn't work out is going to be life or death. A lot of the times we let fear of making the wrong decisions inhabit us from asking the questions and just doing a little bit of digging. Don't be that person. Really experience, because there's so many programs that are actually made for us. But if we don't go out there and look for them, then we won't know, right?
Absolutely. And on to the second point, finding your dream job. So really quick, I noticed the group chat got a little bit dry. Why y'all let that happen?
I honestly think there's
Why
a
y'all
lag.
let that happen? But post in the group chat, what is your dream job? Not the question, but what your dream job is. Because I got a bombshell announcement for y'all in about 5 seconds. I got a bombshell announcement.
Probably gonna take a little longer than that.
I heard there's a little delay in the chat, so go ahead, post it. In my opinion, now, mind you, I've had jobs since before I was in college. I actually paid my way through college working at Ross. If anybody knows Ross, shout out to Ross. Will never work for them again, but I will shop there for the rest of my life. Shout out to Ross. I worked my way through college there. But one thing I can tell you for absolute certain is the only dream job you'll ever have is the one that you create. Oh, I'm gonna repeat that.
Say it again for the people in the back.
The only dream job you'll ever have is the one that you create. Why do I say that? Because at the end of the day, you can't serve two masters. What do I mean by that? You can't serve two masters. You can't want to build wealth for yourself and make somebody else rich at the same time. Honestly. And can you honestly say that you love something that you have to do? Because if you stop working there, if you stop clocking into work and you stop getting paid, can you honestly, truly, genuinely say, now, at the same time, there's nothing wrong with having a job. Absolutely. Because we all got to feed our family. We all got to feed ourselves. We all got to support our lifestyle. Yeah. But there's a major difference between supporting your life and thriving in your life. A major difference. It's like being on life support versus running a marathon, right? And what we're here to educate y'all on, not just in terms of jobs and compensation and creating a life, but just period, right? We want to give y'all more resources that I'm fairly certain you haven't heard in a lot of places, maybe any ever. We're going to share some information with you today that your parents might not even know. So that being said, finding your dream job, do what you love, but be open and willing to explore things that you're not so sure about, because that could lead you down the path of doing something that you love. So that being said,
and I would also say on that tip, just because the world is shifting so much, you always want to be thinking about what is indispensable in this world, right? What can people not live without? What is a need-based business or field or industry that people are always going to need? If you have a degree or a focus or an expertise in that, you will always be taken care of. Because that's just kind of how the world works. We both learned that through our own trials, errors, and experiences. And even through this kind of COVID season, we see the people who, a lot of people look like us, who are kind of at the bottom in the service industry or, at the malls or things like that, were the first people to get let go of, right? But those who are need-based in their skill set, and who kept up with the times, those are the people that continue to thrive and really didn't see a dip in their income. If anything, they kind of saw an increase in their income, right? Because they were educated on what that even meant. So we're going to be dropping some gems on that. But the last thing on this list is actually budgeting your lifestyle.
Yes.
All right. Let's get to that. Let's get to that slide.
All right.
Cool.
Oh,
Creative.
wait. No.
No?
Is this? I thought we had a question, or no?
No.
Okay, let's keep it going.
All right. Budgeting your lifestyle. Okay. Budget. Now, when we first kind of got together as a couple and decided we wanted to like do life together, we had no budget. We had no budget. We were making money and spending money and making money and spending money because that's kind of what we were taught. We didn't find out till later, right? Well, I'll speak for myself. When I asked my parents, hey, do y'all have a budget? I was super shocked to see both of them said, yeah. And neither of them told me how to do it, right? So I actually learned through training in the industry, learned through getting my license, learned through trial and error. I spend a little too much money every now and again, that a budget is super critical. But a lot of people think it needs to be restrictive, and it doesn't, right? It just means that every dollar you have should have some type of job, right? We don't just want to be working for money. We want our money to work for us. And the main way you do that is something called paying yourself first. Now, this is a concept that I had not really heard of till I got into the financial industry. Because the way I was taught growing up was, all right, you get paid from your job, right? You pay your most pressing bill first. You pay a couple of bills after that. You splurge on yourself a little bit in the name of treating yourself, right? And then the last maybe 1% to 2% of money that you have left is what goes to your savings. Now, we all know at this point in time how important having a savings is, how important it is to have a nest egg. But why is that the last thing that we're funding if indeed it is the most critical for our survival if something happens? Because we're miseducated. So broke people usually pay their bills first. Wealthy people, they pay themselves first. What does that mean? You get paid, and the first thing that you should be doing is putting 10 to 20% of that money, however much it is, in your savings or retirement plan. Okay, so we can see on the right-hand side of the screen right there, savings. That's for emergencies. That's for your rainy day. That's for your 401k or other investments, if you're eligible for that, right? And then you just leave it there. Because a lot of us, what we'll do is we get in some type of bind, and because we don't have a savings account, we have this little, $1,000 or $700 sitting somewhere, and then every 3 months, it's gone. It's gone. So I really want you guys to really get this concept of paying yourself first, because also psychologically, it now puts you in a power position, right? Imagine every month after every month, you're paying yourself last. What does that tell you psychologically? That you're worth less? That you should be in last place? Right? Think about it. Now, when you pay yourself first, now you got some pep in your step. You walking into work like you the boss because you are, right? You're not taking nobody's stuff. You get laid off because you're non-essential. Oop, I got a saving, so I can start that business. And you're not just saving just to save. You're saving for these reasons. You're saving for your future self. You're saving for your ill self. You're saving for opportunities and investments, right? Because how many times has a bomb opportunity come and then all of a sudden you're like, dang, I ain't got the money? Well, if you would have paid yourself first that month, you might have, right? So these are just different concepts that we're not really taught, but I want you guys to catch today. All right, after that 20%, you go to your needs, all right? This is when your main bills get taken care of. That's your housing, your rent or mortgage, your food, utilities, healthcare, insurance, life insurance, okay? We're gonna talk about that too, because these are your needs. These are your fixed things that you got to pay for every month that you can't get around. And now after that, finally, when your real responsibilities are taken care of, you have 30% to splurge on you. Now, this can be reinvesting back into your small business or side hustle. This can be personal care. Get your nails done, ladies. Get your hair did. Fellas, get your hair lined up. Whatever you want to do. Get your crystals and your chakras cleansed. It don't matter, because you have designated 30% of that to yourself. Now, if you want to fine tune in between that and make sure that each dollar has an even more specific job outside of that, you do that. But this is the main pie that you want to stick in to make sure that your money is actually working for you. And you're not just feeding your current self, but also your future self. Okay.
Bam. So I love what's happening in the chat right now. That was freaking amazing. Thank you so much. Keep talking to each other. Keep talking to us, because we want to make sure that at the very least, if you don't remember nothing from this presentation, you remember that money isn't so scary after all.
Not really.
So I pray that y'all took at least one thing from this slide about paying yourself first.
Yeah.
Because capitalism in America teaches you the exact opposite.
Right.
Pay your bills first. Pay for them shoes
They're like,
first.
pay us first.
Get that
Pay
credit
us
card
first.
first. The first credit card I ever got was on my campus back in college in exchange for a cell phone case.
Vultures.
For a BlackBerry. So I don't even have that BlackBerry.
Are you that old?
I don't even have that BlackBerry. But seriously, pay yourself first. Adopt that concept. Teach it to your kids. That is the first step in building generational wealth, changing your mindset around money.
Yes.
With that being said, you got anything else?
No, I think that's
keep
it
going.
all.
Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, this is good. This is good. So we only got about 5, maybe 10 minutes left for y'all, but I promise you, if you didn't learn nothing else
got a lot of time,
from these last 5, 10 minutes, if you didn't learn nothing else, then I promise you're going to want to learn what we share with you right now, because if you do, your life will change forever. If you don't, it'll probably be the same. It'll probably be the same. So let's talk about it. Let's talk to the people.
Yes. So
okay,
we got money. Time. We got hella time.
Why are we rushing?
You're rushing.
Nobody rushing. I'm taking my time.
All right. So these rules of money, before we get into the thick of it, this is what a lot of our client experience looks like, right? Because people come to us from all types of walks of life. I'm talking straight out of college. I'm talking, hey, I have 4 kids and I'm a single mom. I'm talking, hey, I'm a owner. I got like 4 chains of coffee shops and I need to move my money in places. And I'm also talking, hey, I've been saving 30 years for retirement and I still have no idea what the heck I'm doing, right? All walks of life, all races. And so a little thing that we specialize in is something called power of choice. We really live by no family left behind, because we've seen in the traditional industry that they really did not support families that look like ours. Okay, so traditional industry is known as like a captive industry. That means when you walk into like a State Farm or even a Chase Bank, a Merrill Lynch, usually those agents or advisors are captive. So that means that when a family or a person walks into their doors, they can only service them with the products that they have there, right? Like the brand name products. So you walk into Chase and you're like, hey, I have this unique situation. I need to invest or save my money. They can only service you with what Chase has, okay? So whether or not that's a great fit for your family, they are obligated to show you that product or show you that service, whether or not that's the best fit for you. They're never going to say, hey, Bank of America down there has a better savings plan. They can't do that. A little thing that makes us different is that we're non-captive. So that means we don't have loyalty to just one company. We're actually registered through 77 companies. We're known as brokers, financial brokers, okay? So when a client or a family comes to us, we're able to sit down, assess what their needs are. Is it saving? Is it college planning for your kid? Is it retirement? Is it just budgeting and maybe creating a rainy day? Is it asset protection, life insurance, the whole 9, right? But before we even get to all of that, we show them these simple 3 rules of money. And I promise y'all, if you apply them, they will change your life. All right, next slide. Ooh. Baby.
Okay.
Hit 'em.
So, compound interest in the rule of 72. So if you've heard of compound interest or the rule of 72 before, just put a yes. Put a yes in the chat.
We're not going to see it till 10 minutes later.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm running a little test. It's a beta test. So put a yes version in the chat if you've heard of compound interest or the rule of 72. And I'm going to get at about 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, post I don't know if y'all can post emojis. Post
right
E equals MC squared if you've heard of a guy named Albert Einstein.
Yeah, who's heard of
Post
Einstein?
E equals MC squared. So the reason I ask is because most people haven't heard of compound interest or the rule of 72.
Right.
But most people have heard of a guy named Albert Einstein who actually discovered the rule of 72. And this is so important because Albert Einstein has a quote. He said, okay, I don't know if y'all saying yes to compound interest. If so, we're talking to the right group. We're talking to the right group. I love it. Yes. So that being said, Albert Einstein actually had a quote. He said, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. I'm going to run that back. I don't know if y'all caught what I just said. Albert Einstein not only discovered the rule of 72, he said this was his greatest discovery. And he had a quote to back that up. He said, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. Those who understand it earn it, and those who don't pay it.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to let
Which
that simmer in
side
your
do y'all
spirit
want to
real
be
quick.
on?
I gotta let that simmer in your spirit because I know that might have hit you, right? But let me bring you back. Let me bring you back to life. So check this out. We have 4 different columns right here. We're gonna start with the first one. Okay. Usually when I'm on Zoom, I got my little red pointer, you know, so I can show y'all what I'm looking at. But just look at the far left where it says 1%, right? And I want you to post in the chat, where is somewhere you can go today and get at least a 1% return on your money? What's a return on my money?
Right.
Where's somewhere you can go today and get at least a 1%? So I'm gonna give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you said the bank, then you're half right. You're half right because this isn't the 70s. This isn't your mama's and your grandma's bank. Okay. This is the bank of the millennials. Okay. Meaning on average, you're gonna get a return of not 1%, but 0.01%. 0.0. We love you too, Judah. Judah, I like that name, by the way. That sounds biblical. I haven't read the Bible, but that sounds biblical, and I love it. So 0.01% is the average return you're going to get in the bank. Meaning, let's rewind. What is the rule of 72? It was discovered, don't the banks just give you 1%? This is super delayed.
Oh, wow. Don't they just give? No.
Oh, Tatiana. So financial literacy is key. Now,
that's why we're here.
Einstein discovered if you take 72 and you divide it by the interest you're earning, Judah said, my credit card. Oh, no, baby. We're going to come to that in a second. But if you take 72 and you divide it by the percent you're earning, it tells you how long it takes your money to double. Okay. This is super important because I imagine only a few of you that are here today are around 29 years old, I imagine, right? I'm turning 29 this year. Let's say I had $10,000 just in the bank as an example, right? As an example. So if I had $10,000 based on Einstein's math, you can argue with me all day. You can argue with your parents all day. You ain't gonna argue with Einstein about no numbers, okay? What he discovered is 72 years is how long it takes your money to double if you're earning a 1% interest. So if you divide 72 by 0.01, what does that equal? Put that in the chat. What is 72 divided by 0.01? Because I guarantee you that's how long it takes your money to double in the bank. Now, listen, Linda, this is so important. We have these saying, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Somebody said real estate. We'll come to that in a second. I like that, Charles. We have this saying, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. I know everybody's heard that before, but has anybody talked to us about how that actually happens?
Yeah.
Can we have an honest conversation today, people, please? So that's 1%, right? Now let's look at 4%. What most people don't know is that the average 401k for the last 30 years has been averaging a 3.9% return. Cressy, what that mean? What that mean? That means if you round it up to 4% based on Einstein's math, it's taking 18 years. That's right, Zara. 7,200 years for your money to double in the bank. But if you have a 401k, it takes about 18 years for your money to double. And most people want to work for like 4 minutes, but end up working for about 80 years. But you have that same amount of your 401k. What do people want to do at 65? Let's be honest. If you're anything like me in college, I didn't even think I lived at 65. You asked my liver, I wasn't even going to make it to 45.
Wow.
But I changed my ways.
Thank God I'm here.
I leveled up. But 4%, right? Most people want to retire at 65. That's $40,000. Hey, can anybody tell me what the average retirement plan is now? Or what the most popular retirement plan is now? It's called a part-time job. You don't believe me? Check out these Uber drivers. Go to your local Walmart. Check out the McDonald's and the Starbucks down the street. And
we will say there's nothing wrong with those jobs. However, when those people turn 60 to 70 years old, did you think they wanted to be working at Starbucks or Walmart part-time? Probably not. And that's really the problem with the system as a whole, is that they sold a lot of us this dream that, hey, if you put your money with your company and you stay there for 30 years, they're going to totally take care of you. And the government, they got your back with Social Security. And yeah, you're going to get like a pension plan. But how many of us actually have all those things thoroughly set up? But also, how many of us are educated on the risks and the liabilities that those things come with as well, right? So I'm going to take you guys through a little bit of history really quick. There's something called a three-legged stool when it comes to retirement or growing your future funds, right? So this was something that was set up strategically to show people how to fund their plans for the future them, right? And so they can retire and then stay retired. So 3 legs to a stool. That actually represented 3 different financial products. Some do. We like you, Jaya. They do be old.
She learned in today's session.
Be old. Okay. So look, 3 legs of a stool. That is your pension plan. So that's like, our parents or our grandparents, they used to work for a company for literally, think about this. You work for the same company for like 30 whole years. You got the same coworkers for 30 whole years. And then a company, in exchange for your loyalty, would promise contractually to give you a part of your salary in retirement. So usually about maybe like 30 to 40% of that, okay? Known as a guarantee. But could y'all imagine this? You start a business today, you run it for like, 100 years or whatever. You have a set of employees, maybe let's say 10 of them, and they work for you for 30 years. Then you have to replace 5 of them, and then you contractually still have to pay them their salary. And then you have to replace them on top of that. Could you really afford that as a business? Imagine if you had 30 employees, 50,000. That gets really, really pricey. So only about 4% of companies even offer pension plans. So that's one really large guarantee that people used to depend on to be able to retire that they no longer have. So boom, leg of that stool, gone. Now we used to have Social Security, an emphasis on used to have, because the current average amount of a Social Security check that people are getting is like $800 to $900. Who can live off that a month? Anyone? Not me, not even if you're a college student. That's super hard. Imagine doing that in your later years of life when you need it the most. So that's not a thing anymore. Millennials, sorry, y'all, we can kiss that goodbye. We can't rely on the government like we used to be able to, if that, right? So the last leg of that stool is what most people are familiar with. It's very popular. It's called a 401k. But I'll say 70% of people don't even know how that thing operates. People spend 20 to 30 years of their careers funding a plan that they literally know like 10% about how it works. And then we wonder why we can't feel empowered about our finances. Okay, so imagine this. You were at a bar, 3 legs on a stool. You got your purse or your backpack next to you on that stool. Some drunk guy comes behind it and steals 2 legs. Where's your backpack or your purse or your wallet going? Probably across the room. That's literally how our retirement plans are set up right now. That's literally financially where a lot of people who are watching this are at. So we literally just teach our clients how to replace the legs of that stool themselves with products and services that they own, their family can fund and operate. And no matter what happens, life, death, sickness, market crashing, they're keeping more of their money. And they actually are educated in how to fund it and how to utilize it, how it's going to work for them afterwards. Okay, let's pull that slide up. Let's get back to these numbers.
Okay, so we kind of skipped over the 10%. And I like, okay, so just really quick, right? I do want to highlight that where you're keeping your money is the sole determinant of how much money your money is making for you. Yeah. I know that went over some of y'all heads. Totally. What you talking about? All I do is work for money. All my mama did is work for money. I mean, that's part of the problem, right? We're not being properly educated on how to save our money places where it's working harder for us than we're working for it. Right. Cressy, that's too much. That's too much. So let's look at 10%. We're going back to Einstein's math. 72 divided by 10. Y'all know what it is. Super simple. 7.2 years. 7.2 years. So some of y'all might be looking like, I don't got that many more 72-year segments, but I got a whole lot of 7-year segments. Oh, yeah, you Not do. If you keep drinking the way you do. We're going to come back to that conversation.
So, you are
same age, same investment, right? 29 years old, $10,000. What do people want to do at 65? They want to get out the game.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get out the game.
They want to rest on the fruits of their labor.
But the problem is they're not saving their money places where it's making money for them. And even better, let's go to the next slide. I'm going to show y'all something that was about to blow your top. It's about to blow your head top. Check this out. So there are 3 different ways that your money can grow. Don't get this confused with the 3 different ways that money works, because that's what we're talking about in totality. But this specifically is the 3 different ways your money can grow. Okay. So first and foremost, you have fixed, right? What does this look like? Post in the chat. What does fixed look like? I'm gonna give y'all 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you said it looks like a flatline heart rate monitor, you're absolutely right. And what does it mean when your heart rate flatlines? I hope we got a few med students in the chat who can put us on, because that means you're dead or you're dying. And that's exactly what's happening in your savings account. Now, Kwesi isn't saying burn the bank down.
No.
Not out loud, but Kwesi is saying you should only keep 3 to 6 months of living expenses in your savings account. 3 to 6 months.
That's our rule of thumb.
That's all you should keep. Why, Kwesi? Why shouldn't I put all my money in the bank? Because your money is dying in the bank. How is it dying, Kwesi? Because you're not losing money. You're also not gaining money. So as we mentioned, 0.01% is how quickly your money is doubling. 0.0, that's what you're earning on your money in the bank, 0.01%. But inflation, yeah, I'm about to go.
Do y'all
there.
know what inflation is?
Who knows what inflation is?
Wow.
Who knows what inflation is? That's a serious question, because I didn't. Before I got engaged in this work, and before I started educating families on these these are, by the way, basic concepts. This is like learning how to tie your shoes when it comes to money. But how many of us and how many of our families actually have access to this information? We're not just talking about money. We're talking about revolution.
Ooh,
that's another conversation. I don't want to scare the people away. We're talking about calls to action. But we have a variable strategy, okay? A variable strategy is a way that you can save your money and grow your money and potentially outpace inflation. What is inflation? That's the natural increase in the cost of goods on an annual basis. Okay, that's what inflation is. Meaning that the water you should be drinking right now, the gas you're putting in your car, that beanie you got on, is all going to be more expensive next year. Because I know things. All going to be more expensive next year because of the natural increase in the cost of goods.
Yeah.
But if your money isn't keeping up with the rate of inflation, you're not losing money, but your dollar is losing value. You're losing buying power. Your family is getting poor. Why is nobody educating you on this stuff?
Maybe because they want our families to be poor?
I don't know. You didn't hear it from me, but check this out. So you have a variable strategy. All this means, this is so simple, y'all.
Yeah.
If it sounds like I'm speaking Spanish, tell me. If it sounds like I'm speaking Spanish, let me know, because I'm trying to keep it super simple. So you have a variable strategy. That means that it's tied directly to the performance of the stock market. What's the stock market? Somewhere you should be investing. But you should make educated, informed decisions with your investments.
Right.
If you don't know where to start, invest into the things that you use. We'll come back to that.
Literally. That's like class number 2.
Yeah, Mecca real good at that. We'll say that for the next conversation. But variable, your money is tied to the performance of the market. That means when the market goes up, what happens to your money? It goes up. We boom and we happy. Good things popping. But when the market goes down, they keep taking off the slide. When the market goes down, what happens to your money? What happens to your money when the market goes down in a variable strategy? Boom, bam. Thank you, ma'am. It's gone. It's done.
Yeah, you lost your money.
What does that remind you of? Anybody here been to Vegas? We got some fun students in the chat. Do we have any fun students? Anybody here been to Vegas? Because I went to Vegas, and I promise I'll never gamble again. Because Mecca was over here on the, what were you playing, 21? She was playing 21 or something like that. She got $200. She won like $500. I got $200. I left with like negative $1,000. I didn't even have the money to pay my doggone rent.
Is an energy.
But that being said, so a variable strategy, if you don't know what you're doing, that's a good question. Where do you get reliable info about stocks? Man, that's a good question.
Lots of resources.
Yeah.
Lots of resources. I will actually, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I post Google.
I like Charles.
Google be lying, Charles. Google be lying. Look, if you guys want reliable information about stocks, because again, there's pros and cons to all these strategies. The main thing you guys should be thinking about is always diversifying. So stocks, although we're not necessarily like securities licensed to be able to give out the legitimate advice on stocks, I know some people who are. So I always post podcasts, Instagram resources that I know that work for people and people who are interested in finances. Please just go follow us, and you can like, share, and subscribe to all of our content. A couple people that I follow are the Wall Street Trapper. What is the other name? Earn Your Leisure.
Earn Your Leisure.
Yeah, Black Wealth Renaissance.
Here, let's do that. Let's make it simple. Sonia, can you post our Instagram handles on the page? I don't know if that's too complex, or just like somebody could post it in the chat. Follow us.
Yeah,
that's where you can get really good information. That's like a route that'll branch you out to a whole bunch of other resources, because stocks is just the beginning. I promise you, when you make that money, one, how much are you paying in taxes on that money?
That's true.
And two, how can you take that money out of the market? A lot of money isn't designed to be taken out of the market, just put into it. So we'll have another conversation about that. But yes, diversifying. Let's talk about what it means to truly diversify your assets, because we talked to you about the first two. And if you talk to anybody like 35 and older, they'll usually know about the first two. Even if it's not by name, they usually have a savings account and a a 401k, right? A 401k is a variable strategy that's invested directly into the market. You can argue with me, you can argue with your mama. You can't argue with 2008. You can't argue with 2008. My family lost $500,000 in 2008. Look at that. Sonia is on it. Sonia is on it.
Somebody get this lady a raise.
You can't argue with 2008. My family lost $500,000 when the market crashed in 2008. Money that they'll never get back.
Now, how long do you think that took them to actually save that? Y'all think about that. Not only do people save for 30 to 40 years of their life, but then it could be gone in an instant. And when you don't have a backup plan, when you don't have financial education, you're just doing what the masses do, you're bound to be tied to what is going to happen organically, a drop. And so what we also teach our clients about is something called an index, right? Also known as what? The stairway to heaven.
Oh, yeah.
Break it down to them.
It's super simple. We lost it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people lost a lot of things. And here's the thing, right? Like 2008 might have seemed like a moment in history, when in reality, it was just a volcano starting to bubble. I'm going to be completely honest with y'all.
People saw it coming.
Back in 2008, we had no idea that a freaking virus would shut the world down and 60 million people would lose their jobs.
Can we talk about it?
If there wasn't for coronavirus, we would be there in person giving y'all a lecture in a hall right now. We can't even do that.
You can see our fly outfits.
No. It's crazy. It's crazy. But when we talk about diversifying our assets, what does that mean? That means protecting your family and making wise decisions with your finances. Let's talk about it. So you should have a bank account. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the bank account. Just don't keep all your money in there. Why? Because the banks are our number one clients. What you mean, Kwesi? What you mean? I'm going to get in trouble for talking about that. And then you should have some money invested into the stock market. Like, honestly, not all your money, not your retirement money, not your kids' college fund, not your payment for a house or another car. Do you want to lose all that money? Potentially?
Yeah.
You might as well give it to me. We'll go to Vegas together. I'll gamble all your money, because that's exactly what a 401k is. You're giving your money to the government, to your company, to Wall Street. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but there are wiser decisions you could be making. So when we talk about diversifying, you might love your 401k. Sit down with me for 10 minutes. I'm going to put you on some game.
And I also,
you might love...
I want to point out that a 401k is not a bad plan when used correctly. I have clients who have one, and I can show them how to properly fund it, so that way they're not gambling their future rent money. Okay. But again, when we look at that three-legged stool, you can't just live off of one plan. You need multiple investments working at the same time. So that way, when you are retired and you are the most vulnerable, you can have multiple streams of income to pull from. A 401k can be one of them. But again, if it's your main one, you might struggle a little bit. You might struggle a little bit.
I love that. Megan, she balanced me out. She like water.
Yes.
She like water.
So
I'm
say.
like hellfire.
So they say.
She like. But let me ask you this, just an honest question. If you were on a plane, right, and before you took off, the pilot came over the speaker system and he was like, "Hey, everybody, I just want to let you know before we take off, there's a 50% chance this plane might crash before we get to our final destination." Would you stay on that plane?
You'd stay on the plane.
Oh, absolutely. I'd stay on the plane. I got God on my side. I got God on my side. But honestly, if there was a 50% chance that plane was going to crash, because it's kind of your 401k, except there's a 100% chance at one point or another you're going to lose money. Will you gain that money back? Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this question. If you had a choice, knowing that no matter where you invest, you're potentially going to lose money, would you rather start at negative 30%, which is where the market was back in March, negative 30%, or would you rather start at 0%? If you have to start from somewhere, would you rather start from negative 30 or from 0? Because a variable strategy can never guarantee you that you'll only lock in at 0 if you start to lose money. But what can guarantee you that? An index strategy.
Yes. So this is a lot of things that most people who, when they come to us, have not heard of, right? So the index, like we said, stairway to heaven, because when you put your money in and the market grows, as you can see, there's a little gray line underneath the red line with the locks. That gray line is the stock market. So you're mirroring the performance of the market, but when the market drops, your gains are locked in. And that happens because contractually, number one, you have to qualify for accounts like this, at least on the ones that we specialize in. You qualify, and there's something called a cap, right? A floor and a cap. So whatever company that client qualifies for, they are given a cap rate. And that can be 15%, that can be 25%. But let's say that client gets a 25% cap. That means if they put money in that year and the market does amazing, let's say the market does a whole 30% in returns, like the S&P 500 sometimes can do. Well, if that happens, that client will get all 25% of gains because that's what their cap is. That extra 5%, however, goes back to the company that they qualified with. And that's because the company on the bottom end protects them from all the loss. So our clients end up keeping a lot more of their money, especially during a time like this when the market is fluctuating crazily. It was down negative 30% for a very long time, but all the clients that we had serviced in the prior year and a half literally didn't lose a dime. And yes, their variable accounts did, because naturally there's no protection there. There's no floor, right? Of course, you get all of the gains, but you also get all of the loss. So there's always pros and cons with each. You're fixed, completely protected. You have all the guarantees in the world, but you're not going to grow wealth there. All right. You're variable. You get all the gains of the world. You get to gamble, you get to risk, but you have no safety. And your index, yes, you get guarantees, you get safety, but there is a cap. Now it's way better than the guarantee they're going to give you in the fixed, but it's not as high as the variable, but it also will make sure that you don't lose a crap ton of your money as well. So all three together will really create you a strong foundation for you to be able to reach your future financial goals.
Bam, 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 bam. That was hot.
Next
that was
slide.
Hot. But no. Before we go to the next slide,
Dang.
the people are talking to us. We got to respond to the people. We got to respond. So Naja, I pray I'm not butchering that name. That's a beautiful name. Naja asked, how do you determine the right amount of money to invest in? So look at Sonia, she on it. How do you determine the right amount of money to invest in certain stocks? That's an amazing question. So we're not going to rewind time, but remember, you have your 50-30-20 rule. Right. 50-30-20. So you're not going to invest your rent money into stocks.
No.
You're not going to invest your retirement money into stocks unless you have a 401k. You're not going to invest the money that you need into stocks. You're going to invest the money for the things that you want into stocks.
20%.
Because anything you're investing into stocks can potentially be lost. You can make money. I have stocks. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm not investing my retirement money, my kids' college fund, my home down payment into the stock market because I don't want to lose that money. I want to keep that money. The money that is expendable, fine, give it to the stock market.
Yes.
But I do my research. What does that mean, my research? What are the things that I use? What are the companies that I trust? There's something known as blue chip stocks. We won't get too much into that, but that's your Google, your Apple, your Facebook, your Sony, right? Your Tesla. Those kind of companies are blue chip stocks because they're foundational to the American institution. That means if they fail, America fails. Just imagine if every iPhone in America just exploded right now. How much carnage would there be? That's a blue chip stock, okay? Not just that I pronounced it right. I'm winning.
Awesome.
So next question, and this is the last one, and we go to the last slide because we got to wrap this up soon. So are these like CDs? Who knows what a CD is? Who knows what a CD is?
That's crazy.
It's one of those things. It's one. Y'all remember Backstreet Boys? Y'all mean? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So there's another kind of CD that Zara is referring to, and it's a certificate of depreciation. I'm joking. A certificate of deposit, right? That we identify as a certificate of depreciation. Why do we say that? Because a lot like a fixed account, a lot like a savings account, you're earning a rate of return somewhere around 1.5% to 2%. That's not even keeping up with the average rate of inflation. Yeah. So with the CD, you basically sign a contract with the bank that says we'll give you a higher return on your money than 0.01%. I can give you a higher return than 0.01%.
Literally.
But the bank says we'll give you a higher return than 0.01%, but you have to keep your money with us for the next 3 to 5 years. And we're not even going to give you enough money that when you take it out, you've made enough to keep up with the rate of inflation that's incurred since you signed this contract with us. Be careful. Yeah. Be careful is all I'm saying. So I'm not saying it's not worth it. I'm not saying it's bad. But at the same time, I'm saying keep your options open. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Be informed, keep your options open.
I will say the draw of a CD back in the day, again, when it came to our grandparents and our parents, were that banks were giving real good returns. I'm talking like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, sometimes 12%. They were really great. And as the economy dropped and the job market became different and investments became different, they're not as powerful as they used to be, similar to the old school retirement system. So I think a lot of us have inherited a lot of old, outdated ways when it comes to saving and generating money. And a lot of our parents haven't kept up with the new education or the new way that things are done, because guess what? These advisors weren't talking to our families. They weren't updating them on the latest and the greatest in the industry. So even when we came in here, we made a really clear decision that we wanted to not only help families that look like ours, but also we want to train the next generation of financial professionals. So not only do we give this information to clients, we teach other people how to do this themselves, how to learn this, how to master this, because again, what we've been taught is just old school. It's like most of the wealthy people are using the iPhone 12, and then most of our families are using like cassette tapes and CD-ROMs. I'm talking with the headphones and the Walkman. I'm not even talking like in your car. So we got to get real updated on this new wave of doing things. And that's where we come in with a lot of our clients. So yes. Those are great questions, but let's keep it going. We only got a few minutes left. Next slide. I want to bring it to y'all live because this last rule of money, this is so important. Yes. Again, if you didn't learn nothing else, if you didn't retain nothing else from the whole conversation, I want you to remember this. I want you to write this down, and not in your iPad, not in your mind. Get that pen, get that paper, write this down. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. Oh, say it again. I don't know if they heard you. I don't know if they ready. We got like a 10-minute delay, so I got to wait for the chat to update to see them fire emojis. That was hot. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. And that's so important because the only way that you determine how much you keep is if you have a strong hold over the tax system and how you're taking advantage of it versus being taken advantage of. What you talking about, Kwesi? Yeah. What you talking about? That sound illegal. Oh, no, baby. Because check this out. There are 2 tax codes in America, one for the uninformed and one for the informed. There are 2 tax codes in America, one for the uninformed and one for the informed. Which one are you? Which one do you come from? There's this saying, you might not come from a wealthy family, but a wealthy family can come from you. Okay. But how are you going to do that if you don't know the game? Wow. A lot of us, and I empathize in a lot of ways because I come from a family that I'm middle class. I went to a good college. I went to pretty good schools my entire life, but I'm still $50,000 in student loan debt. How am I any different than somebody who came from the hood? Financially, we were afforded the same opportunities financially, the same lack of education financially. So what makes us any different in the grand scheme of things? We're playing a game that we don't even know the rules. That's what makes what we do so unique.
because we're bringing this conversation to you live, to your front door. You didn't even have to put on pants.
Most of y'all ain't got on pants.
And we're not even going to trip.
That's good.
Because it's not about what you got on. It's about what's in your wallet. And how much are you going to keep?
Right.
So how is your money getting taxed? There are 3 different ways you can register your money with the IRS. Let's play a game, okay? I want you to write in the chat, the IRS. I want you to write it in the chat. Okay, I'm going to give you 5,
Spell
4,
it out.
3, 2, 1. Spell it out, the IRS. Okay, bam, bam, bam. Now put those words together. And what does that spell? I want you to put that in the chat. Put them words together. What does this spell?
Let's
Put
see.
that. We're going to see it in like 10 minutes. We're wrapping up the call. Oh, by the way. So anyway, how your money gets taxed. 3 different ways you can register your money with the IRS. You have tax now, tax later, and tax. We'll come to that one in a second. Tax now is what most people know about your savings account, right? If anybody here has a job where you're getting paid over the table, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
W2,
So, right, W2, right, whatever. So you're getting paid over the table. Your money, before you even see it, you work all them hours, and everybody sees your money before you. Oh, there you go. Theirs. The IRS is theirs, right? Oh, I see Vivian.
Yeah, she said
Vivian
theirs.
Patterson. She got all them exclamation points. Vivian excited. She the Eureka. I'm figuring it out. So savings account, right? This is super important because your money is taxed right off the bat before you even see it. Whose money is it if you don't even see it first?
Whose money is it?
The government ain't clocking in the work first.
Who?
So why are they taking my money first? Anyway,
That's how it's
let's
set
stay
up,
cool.
y'all.
Let's stay cool. So then you have the next column, tax later. This is what a lot of people know about. A lot of people know about, but know nothing about because they're invested into it. These are also known as tax deferred accounts, right? These are also known as tax postponement accounts, deferred compensation accounts. These are the most popular retirement plans in the country right now.
And why?
The most popular because more often than not, it's the only thing a lot of us are offered.
Also, the government makes the most money off of these.
Yeah, that's enough. We got all this government talk, right?
Ooh,
we
sorry. We on YouTube.
We gotta stay cool. We gotta stay cool. So check this out, y'all. This is super important. If you were saving for your future, okay, no, let's rewind. Let's play a game.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah,
you
let's
want to
go.
play a game?
Yeah.
Get the PS5. Break it out. So check this out. You're a farmer. Yeah, you're a farmer. Okay.
Yeah.
You're a farmer also.
Okay.
So I come to you. Put out your hand real quick. The ring hand. Badao. I give you a bag of seeds. All right. So be fruitful and multiply.
Okay.
All right. Do your thing. Now I come to you. All right. I come to you and I like you. So I'm gonna give you 2 options. I didn't even give this beautiful brown woman, I didn't even give her an option, right? But I'm gonna give you 2 options because I like you. Now I can give you the option I gave her. I give you that bag of seeds and she don't know. She don't know it yet, but I'm gonna come back in 50 years and half that forest is mine. She don't even know it. But I'm gonna be nice to her for 50 years. It's no big deal. I might give her some social security or some welfare or something. But I come to you and I say, hey, I can screw you over like I did that brown woman, or I give you the option of paying your taxes up front and never having to worry about it again. So everything you grow for the rest of your life belongs to you and your family. Honestly, which one would you choose? Write it down, option A or option B. Write it in the chat. Option A or option B, because I got a whole bag of seeds in my closet back there, and I'm about to come to each and every one of you. But write down option A or option B. If you got any sense whatsoever, you're going to pick option B, as you should. But which one are you being offered by the government? Which one are you being offered by your employer and why? I'm surprised nobody's asked me about a match, but I forgot I'm talking to college students. You might not have jobs. Okay, well, there are a few other people on here, right?
But
y'all might know
offer matches.
Yeah, they used to. They used to, but we talking about coronavirus. We talking about interest rates tanking.
Y'all
right?
seen the articles.
Companies ain't giving out free money like they used to, but some are. Now, why would a company be incentivized to give you free money? Maybe because they go, I see Umi just came in. I don't know if I'm in trouble or not. But I'm playing. But why would a company give you free money? Maybe because on the back end, they get a 20-30% tax write-off from the government. You didn't hear that from me, by the way. You didn't hear that. When the feds come knocking at your door, don't point that finger at me. I'm kidding. This is completely legal. This is public information. but how much of it do you know and how much of it has been provided to you? So let's go back as we wrap this up. Let's go back really quick to that analogy I gave. You're a farmer. I'm the seed man. I came back to this beautiful brown woman and I said, hey, by the way, I didn't tell you this. You also didn't read the contract because it was in the extra fine print, but it's been 50 years and half this forest belonged to me. And I know you don't want me to give my buddies the IRS on you because they ain't as nice as I am. So that's what happened to this beautiful brown woman. But then I came to you. Oh, by the way, I just came to check on you because you paid your taxes in front with a tax advantage strategy. You paid your taxes up front. So now I got what I needed and we're good to go.
Yeah.
That's a tax advantage strategy. Having control over your income, having control over your future, having control over the wealth that your family is building. How much of that do you have and how much of it do you want? So this is just the beginning of the conversation, to be completely honest. This is where it starts, but this is something called a door opener, not a door closer. If you're listening to this right now, if you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth right now, do something with this information. And if you're not in a position to do something with it, share the wealth. Because paper, the little green paper with the slave master's faces on it, that's just a manifestation. It's an energy. That's what money is. We either attract it or we repel it. It's that simple. But what kind of mentality do you have around money? Attracting it, abundance, or repelling it, scarcity? I had a scarcity mindset. I was terrified of money. But okay.
Well, we're coming up to the end of our time. I wanted to thank both of the two of you, Mecca and Kwesi, for the great information that you've given us. We're gonna digest it. We have your tag information for IG. A lot of us, I'm sure, will reach out to keep picking your brains and take on new economic blessings and change the legacy of wealth for African American people, for African diaspora people. So thank you. I want to give a shout out to all the CBSS Center for Black Student Success family who's watching out there. All the folks at CSU. I want to thank our action team, which includes Brian Corpening, Vanessa Lopez Littleton, Najoni Chow Garcia, and Bernadette Ortiz. Thanks, of course, to our producer, Sonia Pina. And again, thank you, Mecca and Kwesi. You really shared some great information with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Umi. Hey, I'm so honored to be in this space because if you're listening to this right now, you are the future, honestly.
Literally.
I remember when I thought I was the future. Not so much. Not so much. I'm talking to the future. Right. We're planting seeds. And it's our job to make sure that we pass the baton. Right. We want to give you a better baton than the one that was given to us. And like I said, this is a door opener, not a door closer. Reach out to us. And thank you so much, Umi, for allowing us this opportunity to speak to the youth. This is what we do it for.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yes. So everyone should please join us on November 12th, again at 6 p.m. We're going to have a great chef, an Afro-Caribbean chef. For Thanksgiving and Indigenous Peoples Day. So join us then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
see y'all
tap
later.
in with us, y'all. Have a wonderful night.
Be blessed.
Be wealthy.